Hi, and welcome back to The Growth Show. I'm your host, Whitney, and today we're going to be talking about AI. So it seems like everyone's telling you to use AI and adopt AI in your practice. We're being told and seeing that maybe is it going to take our jobs as therapists and dietitians? And almost no one is talking about where can we actually be using AI in a private practice where it's going to help and where is it going to make things worse? What are those actual scenarios and those specific points? And that's really what this episode is all about today. So I am joined by Meredith Eaton and Jennifer Crawford. They are co-CEOs of Move Forward Virtual Assistants. And they purchased the company in 2022 and grew it from just a handful of clients to over 100. And they have spent years inside the day-to-day operations of mental health practices. Now, this conversation is from their perspective in mental health, but everything we're covering today applies to any other kind of health practice. So if you're a dietitian, functional medicine practitioner, registered nurse, or a therapist, this is going to be very relevant to you. And they are also building their own practice management platform that we're going to talk about at the end, which is really helping to streamline the practice management for mental health practices. So today, though, in this episode, we are going to be talking how to actually use AI in a practice without using the human part that really actually underpins everything that you do in your service-based business. Those relationships and connections that you make still need to feel human, but it doesn't mean that we should shun AI or that it's a threat to the work we do. It can actually be really beneficial. We're going to talk through examples of where it can save you time, where to actually say, no, this still needs to be a human in the mix, and also how to handle some of these other AI therapy chatbots and all of these other things that are coming and feeling like potential threats to your practice and coming for your clients, and how to really handle that and navigate this space. And so it's just a good free flowing conversation that we have about the landscape here with a lot of practical ideas for what you can be thinking about in your own practice as well when you are starting to think about where to use AI and where to maybe leave it alone. So let's get into the conversation. Hi, welcome Meredith and Jennifer to the show. I am so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. We're really excited.
So excited.
Yeah. I'm excited for this conversation. Obviously, AI is coming up quite a bit just in general in everyday life, and then especially in the health space, the mental health space, nutrition. And it's a really important topic for us to be aware of and engage in, I think, not just be kind of fearful of it, but okay, how can we use it correctly and all of that? So let's just dive into that. So how do you feel about the potential of AI in business in general and then for practices in particular?
I think in general, we believe the potential of AI is huge. I think when used appropriately, the constant rub is, does it replace people? What's that line? So we're very, very cognizant of that particular piece of it. So we actually do spend a lot of time thinking about where is it appropriate, where is it not.
Right.
So we don't think it's like this magic wand that's going to come in and transform the whole world and solve every problem.
Yeah.
We definitely see it as a tool that has a very useful purpose in running a business, running a practice. But it's a tool that has its place.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Meredith said, it does have a lot of potential. We're already seeing that, and it's here, and it's not going anywhere. I think sometimes we do need to pause and potentially just ask the right questions instead of, can AI do this? We should probably ask, should AI be doing this? Like Meredith and I are all for AI, like taking over repetitive tasks, organizing data, like repetitive admin work, helping to draft content, that sort of thing. And any hour we can get back to work on strategic thinking and human creativity and empathy is super valuable. That's where all of our energy really wants to be and should be. So for that, AI is like incredibly powerful and can open up so many doors in innovation and creativity from the human side by replacing all of that repetitive task work.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to view it. And especially for our listeners, our in the caring profession, the last thing we would want to do is take away that human aspect that I think drives so many practitioners to continue to do what they do. But it is about picking and choosing when is the right time to employ it and how can it be a benefit and when is it more of a detriment. So how do you decide when AI is the right tool versus when a human or maybe just some other tool is actually the better choice?
Yeah, so it's a case by case. It's hard to have a universal rule, but one of the things that we always default to is, would this be done better by a human, by someone who can connect and feel and, be present, or not? And then once we have the not, then we can evaluate what is the right tool. Is it an AI tool? Is it some other kind of tool? And then at that point, it's also about what is the objective? What are we trying to accomplish? And like Jen was saying, with routine tasks, with like the best use of AI ever is meeting notes, right? Like all those note takers. No human could do better than than the AI can do for that. So it's like a no-brainer on that front. So kind of like working from there, consolidating a lot of data and giving you the outcome of it, or taking a whole bunch of random writing and being like, make it make sense. Not rewrite it, but make it make sense. Like that kind of stuff. Our executive director of business development, Becca Marcus, she uses it a lot to help her do code spreadsheets. She's done some amazing things with spreadsheets and formulas and just like crazy stuff. And it's AI helped her write the code for it. So that makes so much sense. That saves us so much time. We took just so much information, put it all in one place because she was able to do it. So that's kind of, it's just, you sort of have to know what your guardrails are and what your standards are, and then what your objectives are, and kind of be willing to evaluate every task.
Yeah, I think if the value comes from efficiency, then technology is the right tool, the right solution. But if the value comes from your humanity and your expertise, your empathy, judgment, or relationship, that's where people should be leading. It's very intoxicating with AI. And I think what I've seen, even on our own team, we've had to like really have an AI policy firmly in place, is that it doesn't replace your own expertise and your own instincts and experience. And sometimes because it just spits out information so quickly and it writes pretty well, it's addictive. And you start thinking, AI knows more than I do. And that is a trap that's so easy to fall into. And I think as useful of a tool as it is, a healthy dose of skepticism and trust in your own knowledge and expertise is so important to kind of hold on to at all times.
I think also, just to jump on that, what we're also seeing is most AI has a very specific voice. And even as it learns your voice, it still keeps its own voice. And that's lately what Jen and I have been really focusing on with emails and stuff, is just, it's starting to be very obvious when it is an AI written email or something. And so being very cognizant of, no, we got to edit, we got to change the sentence structure, because AI has a way it likes to sort of lay things out in certain words it likes to use. And that is sort of, it's sad to see if it will just all become so the same.
Yeah. And especially when this is a very relationship driven, very human driven field. And there are those different areas where you can be using AI. You can use it in your marketing and create emails and your social media posts, but then also there is that client one-on-one communication and the delivery of services. And I'm interested to know, are you seeing your clients using it for writing notes and things like that? And how is that going? Because I definitely agree on the marketing side, you really do have to be careful. But internally, are people using it for client delivery?
Yeah, there are some software tools out there now that will summarize or create your meeting notes from AI. And we have clients that use those. It makes sense. Gosh, how many times over the years have we had clients come to us and been like, don't tell anybody, but I'm like a year behind on my notes. We're all very familiar with the administrative burden in the mental health profession. It's no joke. So, of course, an AI tool, it seems like, sent from the administrative gods. My only concern, again, healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
Where's data going? How is patient health information secure and protected? I don't think we have the answers to that
Mhm.
right now. And I think a lot of people are thinking it's worth the risk because of the efficiency.
Mhm.
And I'm not making any judgment. I'm just
Yeah.
asking the question. I don't know the answer to that. I know there is some fear among mental health professionals that AI it's on the horizon that they're going to be replaced by
Yeah.
AI agents. And where are they getting that expertise? They're ingesting your expertise in your notes and
Yeah.
all going into the beast. So again, how I really appreciate all that AI offers in terms of efficiency, but I think we just always have to have a bunch of skepticism, particularly when it comes to client care and their privacy. That's kind of where I land. I'm curious. I read a lot of AI articles, and I'm trying to stay on top of it, but
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's something that I'm still learning.
Yeah. It's definitely on the frontier. There's a lot of things changing. I feel like I went through, and I think most people go through these stages of, I don't know if you call it the therapeutic, like stages of grief, but stages of AI where at first you think it's amazing and you think it knows everything. And then you start finding a few times where it's giving you bad advice and really wrong. And then you hate it. And then you come back to it a little bit. Okay, maybe I'll use it within reason. And that's kind of where I've landed at this point is I definitely have that very healthy dose of skepticism on what it tells me. There was a time where I thought it knew more than me and that it was pulling this information from the internet and it must be right if it's saying this and it sounds good and it's
Yeah.
detailed and all of that. And then like you, I'm trying to stay on top of it. And my husband he took a whole course about AI and learning about the fact that these tools, these LLMs are about probability. They are just giving you what I'm not going to say think because they don't think, but what is probabilistically the best answer. It does not mean that it rationalized that because someone told you that they're dealing with this and thinking about this and having these life events, that it has arrived at the best therapeutic answer. It
Yeah.
just came up with a probability. And I think even just reminding yourself of that it does not know.
Yeah.
Right.
And you could ask it the same question 5 times and get wildly different answers. And that is because it does not know. And it is not reasoning. It's not
Right.
logical. It's
And it's
probability.
creation from all sources, right? Reddit, scholarly articles, it's all in the mix. So
Yeah.
yeah, and nothing that is going to replace a clinician's real life expertise. Like that knowledge is so genuine, authentically achieved. And there's just a humanity there that AI is never going to be able to replace. It's just going to happen. And I think Meredith and I talk about the AI bubble from a business standpoint, but I think that bubble, there's the big bubble, but there are a lot of little bubbles. Oh, this love affair we have with AI, like you said, like this stage. And I think there's going to be a moment where maybe AI therapy is going to have a moment, but I think it's going to be very brief. I think it's going to be a flash in the pan, and then everyone's going to be craving. Heck, when I get an email that's not grammatically correct, I love it. Like, yes, somebody actually wrote me a real email. They actually took time to write me something, and maybe it's not the best written email, but I got the information. And I know it's genuine. I'm starting to really appreciate just a regular I don't know if you've had that experience, but I appreciate that somebody's taken the time because when I get AI written emails, they're beautiful, but I'm like, somebody just sent us. How much do they really think about this? They just put it through AI and sent me the information. So it's a different experience. And I'm sure the therapy experience will feel the same way from somebody receiving therapy from an AI therapist. It's going to feel a lot different than a relationship with a real therapist.
Yeah. I think one of the most dangerous, potentially, or not dangerous, sort of hypnotic effects of AI is the way that it just tells you how smart you are all the time. And everything, it's such a great idea. Oh, you're exactly on the right track. These are the questions to ask. And it's very seductive and it's makes you feel good. You're having a bad day. And, oh, look, this smartest thing, whatever. is telling me how brilliant I am. And I think that's a little bit of the same thing that's impacting this AI therapy model, because I think that's a big piece of it. And people who just want to be told like, no, you're fine, you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Or here's one little thing to change. And they're like, oh, good. Okay, cool.
Right.
And they're done. And so it's just feeding that need, which again, it's like a snake eating its tail. It's just feeding that need, not solving it. So the need stays, which works great for people making money off of those services.
Yeah. That's the other intoxicating part of it, is that it's cheaper, right? It's cheaper. And this is where the replacing people, I think it's so tempting for businesses, is to replace people with AI because they see the money that they're saving. But it can, at what cost? There's such a cost to it. And the example that we have internally is we offer live call mental health receptionists. It's through Thera line of our business. So it's real people answering the calls of people seeking mental health from therapy practices. And so we're on the other end of the phone from people not having their best day, month, or even year, right? And so the human touch, empathy, and care is so important, and our services are not inexpensive. So we're competing now with AI receptionists who are answering the same types of calls, but they're AI agents. And it's so much cheaper. So I can see why a practice may select that, because, hey, we're all just trying to keep our businesses running and profitable. I totally get it, but it's such a short-term solution to what could ultimately hurt your practice, because the people on the other end of the phone might not feel as cared for, might feel somewhat dismissed with things pretty obvious when you're talking to an AI agent. And will they come back? What will they say about you? And not just you, but what does it say about the industry as a whole if we're not caring on a human level for the people needing mental health care at every stage of their journey to get into your office or in your session? It's one of the concerns of ours, even like just us competing in that realm, but also seeing this happen in so many realms of mental health care, not just an AI therapist, but now we're replacing all the people that help get people into your therapy practice, potentially not being held by human care.
And to just take it to like a really minute business level for these therapists, so many of our clients, every conversion, every person who calls in asking a question or trying to find a fit, who gets put on a calendar, is important to them, not just from ethical, but just like from running their business, right? They're trying to get more clients. So every call is so important to convert. And we have had situations where people call in the middle of a crisis, a mental health crisis, in trauma. And it's hard enough for a live person with trauma training, with mental health training, to keep that person on the line, to get them converted into an appointment that is for everybody's benefit. I think about what someone like that, what their reaction would be if they got an AI agent, and how damaging that could be to their psyche, to their experience, because they're paranoid, they're afraid, all this kind of stuff. And they have a hard enough time trusting a human being, right? So it's like the trauma that they might endure if they're already in a psychosis or whatever, that they get an AI and then they don't convert. So the clinician loses a potential client, they lose a chance to help the person loses the opportunity to help. That may be the only call they make for 6 months. And that to me it's a business factor, but it's a humanity factor as well.
Yeah. I think some of the things that you said earlier, it's that looking at what are we using the AI for, and how is it benefiting our patients and clients at the end of the day? And if it is freeing up your time so that you can see more clients, or you can give better care and be more mentally present in sessions, or focus on other things that are going to allow you to help more clients and all of that, wonderful. That's good. As long as it doesn't come at the expense of then hurting at the same time the people that you are in business to serve.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, it's another downward spiral, because they choose the cheaper service, perhaps because they're trying to grow their practice and they're trying to get more clients, but now they're not getting the clients because the AI isn't converting. And it's this race to the bottom, which is unfortunate again for everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely an automate too much side that I think companies, heard an article of, I think it was, well, I won't say what car company because obviously I don't want to misquote it, but they had gone and gotten rid of a lot of QA checkers and replaced it with an AI system. And then they started having to they realized that they had gone too far, which also, again, thinking about what's the goal of this automation, the QA I would not want to really take a chance on. There's certain other things, maybe billing or handling invoices maybe, but I don't know that that's the right place. And it turned out that actually, so they had invested so much in whatever system, and then it turned out that actually that was too much. And so I think some of it, we want to be fast, we want to adopt things, we want to keep up with the times. And if something is good out there that is saving us time, saving us money, that's wonderful. But I think also we can remember that we don't have to jump on every bandwagon immediately.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can wait for the bigger guys to take that chance. And I mean, we saw like QuickBooks was inundating me with all of their AI enhancements, and everyone was just so excited for all the AI that they put into their tools. And I just really, at the end of the day, for most of it, didn't feel like much of a change. And I don't think the customers really loved it either. And so I think it's okay to also adopt some things and then be a little bit slower and see how some of these larger industry players, just any of them in any industry, are using it or failing at using it, and take those lessons as well.
I think that's, what you said is so important. We all love efficiency, but sometimes faster is not better. Sometimes it's okay, particularly when you're dealing on the people-to-people side of things. It's okay to slow down and spend time with people and make sure your customer service is on par and on point, and that you're caring for people the way you would want to be cared for. If that takes a minute longer, that's okay. Not everything has to be done at lightning speed. And I'll argue that it shouldn't be done at lightning speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think bringing AI when it can to help you, but another article that I just read recently is there's now a lawsuit against one of the large platforms of someone who did use it for medical advice and had a very bad medical outcome because of it. And similar to what you were saying, Meredith, the part of the problem was that it was an older model. It was one of the easier pleasing models, or they wanted to please you. And it was actually telling him not to get medical advice. And because he didn't want to get medical advice. And so the nature of the tool, like you said, was actually just fulfilling the fact that what he really wanted was confirmation that all the other people that were telling him to get help were wrong, and that he actually could wait it out. And it sensed that, because I'm sure he said some of those things, and it allowed him to get worse and worse. And so although these tools are coming out and there's definitely interest there, I feel like there's just such a long way to go. And I hope it honestly never gets there, because talking to a human is just different.
It is. And
It really is. And I think we all feel that we've just been fire hosed with AI. Like you said, it's everywhere. There isn't an app I use, a tool I use that isn't like popping up AI. I don't I didn't ask it. I don't want you to rewrite my.
I can say it better this way. It's like,
no, I want to see it this way. I feel like I'm constantly like shoving AI around, like working around it. Even if you are a TikTok fan, but Meredith and I are TikTok fans, and now it's you get an AI summary with your TikTok. Like, you used to be able just to jump to a relative or related TikTok. Now they want to give you the AI summary, and it's so annoying. And I have no choice. And I think that's part of it. I think that's so frustrating with AI, is that I don't think any of us really got a choice in the matter. We just, for whatever reason, bigger things at play than I understand, just decided that universally we're all going to use AI, paint it all, and infiltrate our lives, and you can't opt out. So I'm a little resentful of AI for that. I like to have an option, but it is what it is. So I'm also an optimist, so I want to make the best of the situation. I think we all here are doing a good job of that.
Yeah. The reality is it isn't going anywhere. It may adjust, it may shift, the bubble may burst. It might not be as omnipresent, but it's not going anywhere. And we don't do ourselves any favors by pretending. We don't want to be like Luddites where it's just no AI ever. I refuse to go with the time. So it's again, like back to the beginning of our conversation, just always about finding that line, but also being willing to reevaluate because it's very fluid at this point, good and bad. And so just being willing to always be like, oh, look at this new tool. Is it helpful? No.
Right.
Or yeah, okay, this would solve this one little problem I had and we'll move on. So I think that's the trick, which generally speaking, most people don't live that way. They just want the answers. They want it to be the same and aren't as embracing of change as Jen and I are.
It's a constant struggle, though. It is an overwhelming flood of information and tools, and feeling also this person has all these things that they've just developed and I feel so behind, but at the same time, I'm just trying to keep up and joining communities to follow people to learn more about it myself. But yeah, I don't think anyone should beat themselves up for wherever you are is fine. As long as I think, to your point, you are being open to the conversation and the learning.
Yes. Because it really can be like the simplest example of note taking in a meeting, like Fathoms and all these things. That has been a huge game changer for us from productivity, time saving. We would be crazy if we were just like, it's listening to us. We don't want it, like whatever. Even with our live call center, AI is in the background to summarize the calls, which lets us have quality control in a way that isn't, otherwise it would take someone the same number of hours it took to do the calls, to listen to the calls. So it can do a summary and it kind of grades it. And then a human being goes in and looks at it and see if they agree with the grade, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we would be hurting ourselves as a business if we were not willing to let it run. But that's kind of thing, let it run in the background, let it do these things that support the humans and make sure you're having some human element that double checks it. We don't check every single call, but the director of TheraBrain goes in and does like a audit, spot check, whatever. So we have guardrails, but it's all about the mix.
Yeah. And so I want to come back to this idea that AI's taken our jobs. And we definitely see the investments going in from these big private equity firms and definitely larger players than the solo practitioners or the small group practices, building things, doing things, and feeling very much, yes, we can say that a human can't be replaced, but also feeling like, could that happen? And what are our clients doing? And if patients are feeling that they can get answers elsewhere faster and cheaper, what does the mental health practitioner actually do in that situation? Are you hearing those kinds of things and questions from your own clients? And what are you telling them, or how are you kind of helping them navigate all of that?
It comes a lot. Honestly, I think a lot of practice owners are really worried. Running a successful therapy practice is, on a good day, not an easy thing. It's not easy to run any business and make it successful. But they're seeing the AI therapy apps come on the market, the private equity-backed companies that seem to have a limitless amount of dollars to throw at their companies, massive venture-funded platforms. And so they are wondering, is my small group practice or my solo practice even going to be able to compete when I don't even have $1,000 a month of a marketing budget?
Yeah.
So I think to look at this in a way that can kind of dispel some of those fears. As I say, people choose therapists not because someone has the most advanced technology. Like, that's not a factor in choosing a therapist. Connection has always been the product, really, when it comes to great mental health care, and that hasn't changed. So I think the technology can really help change how people discover care. And it may change like the technology tools around that care, and it may even improve access for some people. So you have to look at what it can't do and what it can't replace. So we look at things like the trust factor in care. It can't really replace that. The relationships, clinical expertise, the personalization of the care, the genuineness and authenticity of care, the community around that care. All of these are things that venture capital firms can't compete with. And not only that, but there's such a, I guess, negative and anti sentiment around these things now that it hasn't come up in this conversation, but we are launching TheraBrain, which is a practice management system. We call it evidence-based because it's built by the people who've worked behind the scenes in mental health practices since 2018.
Yeah.
And one of our selling propositions is that we're not private equity backed. We're not venture backed. It's a platform that's human forward. There's the only AI in it is the call summaries because it integrates with TheraBrain, our call service. But that's becoming one of our selling points. And that's because of the atmosphere that we're in, where people are feeling really resentful of these private equity firms coming in and just kind of taking over and throwing dollars at mental health care when there's no feeling that they actually care about the people needing mental health care. They're just trying to make a quick buck. And people don't like that. People receiving care don't like that. And certainly the people who have worked so hard and come from a place of genuine care really don't like that. So capitalize on that. Capitalize on those things that venture capital can never compete with. And as an industry, I think we all have to come together as one unit and have that same messaging coming from all of our practices, all of our mental health support services. We need to be loud and proud about that because we have to be part of educating people as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jen said. And I think
that's always so great when that happens.
I know. Well, we're co-CEOs for a reason. So, but the other piece of it, or the other layer of it, is just telling our clients and telling practices, like, be brave. This is a moment in time. And we're seeing it, like you were saying earlier, Whitney, about the businesses that fire their entire, QA, and then they have to hire them back. These things have a bit of a cycle. And I know that is really scary to think about when you're not sure you can make payroll or you're not sure you can pay your bills. The other piece of it is that the human part is the superpower of these therapists. And so lean into that in the marketing instead of trying to compete with on cost or on accessibility or any of that, which we've seen a little bit of that, trying to lower the prices, trying to be available 24/7. No, go the other way. Say, you don't want this. If you really want to change, if you really want growth, if you really want to solve your problem, whatever is their specialty, this is where you're going to do it, not over there. And they have to be willing, and it's not in the nature of most clinicians, of most people in this field, which I think is partly where these venture capital AI things have gotten their inroads in, because it's not an industry that is like you think of as hardcore fighters, but they're in there and they can do it. And I think that, like Jen was saying, if we all band together as an industry and we are just like, from an education standpoint, I think there are some people who just think, I'm having a crisis, I have this phobia, I have to get over it, I'll just call BetterHelp, call whoever and whatever. They need to be educated that, like, and there is a place for that kind of service, right? For someone who does instant, immediate answer. I don't want to say connection, but you know what I mean? They just need to, like, and it doesn't almost matter what's on the other side of the line. So fine, let them have that market. Like, that is
right.
And that's sort of stop thinking about them as competitors. It's a little apples and oranges in a way. And the more that the therapy world buys into the idea that we are all competing for the same thing, the more that becomes the case. But I think we need to change the narrative. We're not competing. We're two very different things. It's buying a semi truck or buying a EV car. Yeah, they both go on the road, but
very different vehicles, right?
I was thinking of the analogy of like factory farming versus like your local like organic farmer. Like, they both will feed you. But when I go to buy food for my family, I prefer to buy local whenever I can, always buying organic, because I want the quality of food and I care what goes into my body. I have the choice. I could go either way. But to me, those things are very, very different. And I understand that. And I think it's the same way with a real, genuine trained therapist versus these factory farmed AI therapists. It's not the same. It's not the same quality. It's not the same experience. There will be people that still choose the AI therapists for their own reasons, no judgment. But there are plenty of people that are going to need and want the quality of care that the real human therapists provide.
Yeah. And I think from then looking at how do we get that message out there to what you were saying, Meredith as well, like about being bold, about being brave, and making sure that you are really sharing that message in your marketing as you're positioning yourself, what you do, how you're different. Because, yeah, anyone can go to ChatGPT and ask a question or Claude or whatever and get answers. But then usually what's going to happen is they're probably going to get a little frustrated that they didn't really get anywhere or their problem didn't get solved.
Right.
They got some chit chat back and forth late at night at 2 a.m. in bed. And then they still 2 days later are actually still dealing with the problem and wishing that a real person would actually just listen to them and talk to them. So, but the problem is that person thought that the easiest and fastest way to get that answer was through these LLMs because that's what's available, that's what's easy, that's what they know about. And it's funny, I love therapy. I have had therapists throughout my life, but it's so funny that when it comes to, okay, I need to find a therapist, it still feels like it is so hard to find the right person. And so I think it's so critical for therapists to then use these AI tools and the back end admin and all of those other efficiencies to get their voice out there more and make sure that their website is good, that they're publishing some content somewhere so that people can actually get their perspective and either hear their voice on a podcast or in blogs or Substack or Threads or like whatever. And so I don't know if that's something that you're also seeing or how you free up time for your own clients with the kinds of services you offer so that those kinds of things, the things that actually help them connect to people are the things that they're spending their time on as well.
Yeah. And we all have limited time. And how many therapists have we heard groan when we suggest like networking? Go to network. It all takes time. I've grown at networking events. One thing that we see being really successful, we actually build a tool inside TheraBrain to help with this, is nurturing your mutually beneficial referral relationships. Because that takes less like going out to networking time. And it can also be really specified referral relationships. So they're very specific. If you're a good referral partner, sending the right clients to the right place and your partner's doing the same thing, that can really keep your pipeline robust, both long-term and short-term pipelines. That's one thing that we really encourage therapists to spend some effort and time in, is like building those referral relationships and then caring for them and nurturing them. I think that's really helpful. And I love mutually beneficial relationships anyway in business. We're really drawn to that rather than, I like that better than Google ads. And ultimately financially cheaper. It just takes a little bit of strategy and time.
And one of the things that we talk to our clients about is when they are thinking about bringing on a virtual assistant or increasing their hours, whatever it is to go through and think of those tasks that sort of anybody can do and that only they can do, and then branch from there. And so marketing can be one of those things that they can get help with. And then so one example might be just bring all the tools together, right? So having your VA, giving them a couple prompts, say, put this into Claude or ChatGPT, ask it to write me a blog post about blah, blah, blah. Then they give that blog post to the therapist who then edits it, right? So it makes it there, make sure it's true. But staring at a blank page is one of the hardest things that any of us can tackle. I swear, else I will die on that hill with the blank page is like the scariest thing. So anything that gets you past a blank page, win, right?
Yeah.
So that you could give your VA 5 topics and say, generate a couple drafts on each of these topics, leave them for me. I'll go through them and edit them.
Yeah.
That we also have had times where our VAs become so attuned with their therapist, that with the client they're supporting, that they can do some of that initial work too, because they get what they're about, so they can do some of that. And just like the email marketing for us, when we started using chat to help us write the first draft of our email campaigns, it was a game changer for our marketing. Like, Jen and I are the marketing department at Referral. We're also the CEOs, and we're also like, so marketing kept getting like bottom of the list. But then so we were able to create a system. So like it goes in, it comes out, it gets edited, it gets put in the thing, and like boom, boom, boom. Now 2 years in, and we have this very consistent marketing, and that there's no magic to it. It was just a way to think about it, have a plan, and just not let it just be AI, because then it becomes very just like one note, blah, blah, blah. So we have the editing built in, but that kind of way of thinking about it. And so, and to free up the time to think more about their practice or they're looking at this draft of a blog post or a guest article they're writing for somebody else. They can focus in on what is my unique voice, what is my unique perspective, and not have to worry about all the other pieces of the intro and the connect,
Right.
If you're not a writer, that's very hard. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, the best use of all those tools. And if they don't have a VA, they do it themselves. But that, I think, is just such a good example of the way that we can make cross both sides and make it work for us.
Yeah, you did such a good job of bringing us back to AI, Meredith. When it came to marketing, I was going off the tracks. I apologize.
No, it was great. The human stuff is good too. And I want to hear more about TheraBrain as well, because I think the other piece of it is, yes, AI is part of it, but also systems and software. That should not be forgotten. Before we had AI, it was how do we automate with software?
Right? Yeah, exactly. And yes, thank you for bringing up TheraBrain and giving us a chance, because we're actually incredibly excited about it. We're getting ready to roll it out. We've been using it internally, and we're getting ready to roll it out to the general public, people who aren't our clients. And I think I just want to take a moment for me and Jen and whoever's listening to just be excited for a second.
I'm excited for you.
2.5 years at this point of working on this software, because we didn't use AI. We don't have venture capital. It was literally an idea that wasn't even our idea. It was our executive director of business development who had this idea of a dashboard. If only there was a way to visualize data, and it's just grown. Always by the feedback. Oh, the client was like, it would be really great if we could see this. And it's been an intense labor of love and a long road.
We've had this unique experience that I so appreciate that we have, which is working behind the scenes of so many different mental health practices, from solo practices to very large group practices, all different kinds of specialties. And our team that's been supporting them, we just kept seeing like the same challenges that to us seemed really crazy that they existed and that there was no solution. And these challenges made it ultimately really hard for even very successful practices to grow and scale. And that was, they just had all these disconnected tools. They didn't talk to each other. I can't tell you how many very impressively successful practices were being run with a series of spreadsheets, very fancy spreadsheets, but spreadsheets they were. A lot of redundancy, a lot of inaccuracy, no data. And so, as Meredith said, TheraBrain started as an idea from our executive director, to have a better data analysis for our clients. But then we were like, we need to solve more there are more problems here that we might be able to solve. And so we wanted essentially everything that your EHR doesn't do, TheraBrain does. Clinician matching and analytics and workflows, intake tracking. It's really a platform for your clinical and admin team to work from in one place. So everybody's on the same page. Everything that's done in your practice has a person that's attributed to it. Everybody who contacts your practice, it's held in there, and there's an action associated with it. So it's really just like this central nervous system, if we want to stay on the brain analogies, central nervous system of mental health practices. And it's been a game changer for our team, because it's been a lot, because they support multiple practices. It's been a lot of less mental code switching, because now they can, everything is all in this one platform. They don't have to go to all these different places to support the practices. And then for the practice owner, they can just log in and see everything, the status of everything, and then just check in and go and worry about other things. So we never thought we would be a tech company. That was not on our bingo card ever. We've had to be an agency forever, and so a service-based business. So we definitely are like, oh, we did this thing. That's crazy. Yeah, we are officially launching it to the public on September 1st. So we're on that. We're on the final home stretch of this. So
Yeah. Oh, congratulations. So I think the best software comes from people who didn't set out to be software founders, probably.
Yes, we're going to go with that for sure. That's definitely true.
Yeah. And the fact that you have been, especially now, I think it's really helpful that you're sharing that this has been something you've worked on behind the scenes for 2.5 years. And with your clients, they've already been using it. This is not just a vibe coded software that you got on the bandwagon and it's 4 months old. And I was just looking at you have a great demo video on your site. People can go there now. We'll have the link in the show notes where people can join the wait list to at least be notified when you're opening things. But I love that it is doing that whole picture of the sales and the leads tracking all the way to that client delivery piece. And you mentioned the referrals are in there too. And I think one thing that's really important for all of us to know, and this is something I've actually been thinking about too, because all of these tools we have now have MCPs and connectors, and like Kit is saying, we can send you can ask all these questions about all this data. And at first I was like, I don't need all of that. And then it's like, maybe I should be looking at the data a little bit more. Maybe I should actually be looking at that, assessing it, seeing how things are changing. And so I think for anyone who's like, I have 3 spreadsheets, I don't have that many, it's probably fine. It probably is surfacing pieces of data that practitioners may not even have been thinking about that is going to achieve an ROI for them as well, beyond just maybe solving problems that they have today, but answering questions that they didn't even know that they should be asking.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. A big part of our mission since day one has been trying to help practice owners think a little bit more like business owners, like CEOs.
Yeah.
And for a lot of practice, they just became a practice owner because it was the next step in their clinical journey.
Right.
But they weren't really thinking like CEOs. And so that was part of way back in the beginning when this idea of TheraBrain started emerging. It was like, we need a way to make it easy for them to look at the kind of data that a CEO would look at, who learned a business school, whatever it is, and then know what that data is telling them, right?
Yeah.
Without them having to really take a course or have to learn, right? We don't have time for that. They don't want to do it. They're meant to be therapists. They're not trying to be CEOs. That was like, how do we solve this? And that in one of the earliest stages, it was really focused on that piece of the data visualization and things like, how many no-shows do you get in a month? How many last-minute cancellations? And what does that data tell us? At a glance, like, what is the capacity of all your clinicians? You get to a certain point, you have 1 clinician, 2 clinicians, it's easy to keep track.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these practices, they blink and now they have 7, 10. And you lose track of who is at capacity, who isn't, who is working. So it lets you visualize it all just right there. And so when the person, whoever's doing your intakes or answering your calls, can be like, oh yeah, so-and-so, they are in that specialty, they fit your needs and they have all this opening. Let's get you on their calendar. Yeah. And so that's so important for scaling, for visibility, for growth, for sustainability.
Retaining your team so that they're not going crazy.
Yes. And that's
good point. And to your point about data can surprise you because you think you kind of know what's going on in your business, but data really is the truth. We had a practice owner and he was spending a lot of money on Google Ads and calls were coming into his practice. So he thought, these are working. I'm going to keep throwing more money. The data in TheraBrain said, yeah, you have gotten a lot of Google calls from Google Ads, but only 10% of them are ending up on your calendar. So the leads you're getting, one, you're paying for people to answer those calls, but you're not getting the right leads. Like these ads aren't, they're effective. They're not really effective. They feel good because your phone's ringing. But if those people are not the right fit for your practice, then you're wasting the money on the ads, and then you're wasting the administrative support costs for hand calls. So we either need to fine tune those ads or look at what is working and double down on that. Yeah. So that was really helpful for him because then he ended up pulling back his ad spend, saving himself some money, and he focused his efforts in other places. So
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, the data doesn't lie, like you said.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly it.
yeah,
That's exactly it. And that's why that's where it started. And that's the core of the platform. And then we just added on all these other things to make it fit all the other gaps, because we
Yeah.
don't want people going in and out. And we come to that from working in the administrative side and our team, and we always want to provide the best level of service. And we were seeing avoidable mistakes happening because the systems were bad, the redundancies and complicated, and you have to put it here, here, and here.
Yeah.
And then someone would miss it the third place and say, and
Yeah.
we're just like, I'm a huge systems nerd. So I was just like, it doesn't have to be this way. Nobody should live this way.
Yeah.
Not our people. And I don't want to be handling the fallout of the client complaining because the VA made this mistake that was an avoidable mistake, that the VA was set up for failure because your system was so clunky. I don't want to deal with that either.
We don't want human error. Yeah, we want to minimize that.
Yeah, we're just
But all the time, it was like, you can't delegate a bad system.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
true. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So this sort of this lets us stop trying to teach practices how to build a better system and just gives them the system.
Yeah.
And so it makes it just easier. We're all about ease. We're all about working smarter, not harder, about efficiency, scale. So this is just, we're going to do it for you. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So
I'm so excited for you and excited for the world to get access to TheraBrain, and also just even the conversation that we had today. Really, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your experience with your clients. Any parting words before we sign off?
This has been great. I've really enjoyed the conversation too. I could talk about this all day for sure. So thank you so much for having us on. And
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I did love this conversation. It was so fun to talk to you and just kind of like bounce around like our thoughts on AI, and not having the fear, but going in with curiosity and skepticism is like, I think, so healthy. And I so appreciate you having us on. And anything that we can connect on in the future, we would love to do that.
Yeah. Thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps up our conversation. A big thank you to Meredith and Jen for joining me today on the podcast. I hope you got some new insights about where AI is a potential tool in your practice in delivering care in a way that is going to still feel human and authentic and support you in certain ways, but definitely not taking away that human aspect that is so important when it comes to medical professional advice. And we did talk about all those different things that are coming out and how they could, of course, be a hindrance to actually people getting real medical advice, and how you can be starting to combat that a little bit, show up more with your marketing, how you could be positioning yourself as that human, real solution for people, and how you can be using AI then to free up your time, maybe make marketing easier so that you can get your voice out there, reduce some of the other automations, or make more automations and reduce some of those tasks behind the scenes in your business that are taking up your time, because we still need to be competitive. We want to reach our potential clients, and a lot of these big firms and apps out there have a big marketing budget, as we talked about, but we can still definitely be showing up, finding our customers, and being that human provider that they are ultimately looking for. So I feel this was a really rich conversation about where AI can be responsibly used in a medical practice and where it isn't in a place, and you should be having a human and all of that. So if you want to learn more about Move Forward virtual assistants, So if you want to learn more from Meredith and Jennifer, learn more about Move Forward virtual assistants, or check out TheraBrain, which will be coming out this fall, then go to their links in the show notes. You can get on the wait list for TheraBrain, their new mental health practice management platform that you heard us talk about, which is coming out soon. Okay, if you have anything that you would like to share with me about this episode, you could always send me a DM on Instagram at Whitney Bateson. You can send me an email, info@whitneybateson.com. Please share this episode with a friend or colleague who might find it helpful. and give us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform. That's always really helpful too. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in a future episode.